Yes, I'm afraid it's true, and I'm really sorry. After 13 years of making Wheeler Dealers, I'm now going to be leaving the show.
For 13 years, Edd China was the calm giant fixing cars on Wheeler Dealers. Then, everything fell apart. The network wanted to cut his workshop time. He walked away, but walking away cost him everything. His garage went bankrupt. His YouTube channel mysteriously stopped. A Ferrari scandal destroyed his reputation, and his co-host Mike Brewer says Edd did very bad things. The truth involves money, ego, and a 37-second video that changed how fans saw their favorite mechanic forever. It started in London on May 9, 1971. That's the day Edward John China was born, but no one could have guessed this tall, curious boy would one day become one of television's most respected mechanics. His childhood wasn't like most kids. His father, an aeronautical engineer, turned their home into a mini industrial workshop. This wasn't a basic garage with a few tools. It was a place where young Edd learned how things work, by taking them apart and putting them back together again. While other kids played video games, Edd spent 12-hour days experimenting with electrical systems and mechanical parts. He didn't just play with machines, he studied them, tested them, and rebuilt them until they worked perfectly. Even at a young age, Edd's drive for perfection stood out. He wasn't satisfied if something merely worked. It had to be flawless. His father kept challenging him with harder projects. Over time, the boy who once fixed toys was now building complex machines with moving parts and working electronics. His explanations later on Wheeler Dealers seemed so simple because, for years, he had practiced making the complicated easy. But school wasn't so easy for him. He went to King Edward's School in Surrey, a historic boarding school filled with wealthy students who played rugby and cared more about fitting in than fixing engines. At 6 feet 7 inches tall, Edd stood out. And not just because of his height. He didn't care about popularity or sports. He spent his free time sketching machines and solving problems in his head. That made him different. And in that environment, different meant lonely. Yet, that same isolation pushed him to trust his own instincts. It was in those quiet moments that Edd decided he'd never trade precision for popularity. When he left school in 1989, he carried that mindset straight into university. At London South Bank University, Edd enrolled in the Engineering Product Design program. There, he truly found his rhythm. The course focused on both creative and scientific thinking, which matched his style perfectly. Professors quickly noticed his ability not just to build, but to explain. He could turn dense engineering jargon into simple, engaging lessons, something that would one day draw millions of viewers. While most students juggled a few assignments, Edd was managing 35 car projects at once. That's not a typo. 35. And that's not counting the massive double-decker bus he bought and converted into his home. Yes, while others lived in dorms, Edd lived in a fully wired, heated, and plumbed bus. It became a campus legend. Inside, he had space to work, live, and dream up the next big thing. It wasn't just cool, it was genius. And then came the sofa. Not just any sofa, but the casual loafa. Edd built it to raise money for an expedition to Belize, but it became something far bigger. Using a mini 1275cc petrol engine and an automatic gearbox, he created a fully road-legal driving sofa. The controls were hidden in the armrests, the covers were washable, and it could hit speeds of 87 miles per hour. It broke the Guinness World Record for fastest furniture at Goodwood in 1998. More importantly, it proved that Edd didn't just think differently, he delivered. What most people didn't know was that behind the screen, there was a family quietly supporting him. His father's engineering lessons had set the tone. His wife Imogen helped manage the business side of his projects. And his father-in-law? He was the stunt director for the Italian Job. That connection taught Edd how to blend mechanics with visual storytelling. It wasn't just about building cars. It was about making people care about them. When it came to television, Edd didn't have a plan or connections. He just showed up, hoping for anything in the movie industry. That's how Edd China found himself in 1994, hammering a beaten-up rover for the sitcom Father Ted. He spent a full week destroying the car until it looked just right. Old, miserable, and perfect for a church raffle. It was messy, unglamorous work, but he loved it. It felt right. While the actors were filming in Ireland, Edd stayed behind in London with the junior crew. One strange problem came up. Father Jack's wheelchair needed to move on its own. The crew kept over-engineering it with motors and chains that always failed. Edd looked at it, laughed, and said, "Why not just use a starter motor?" In the end, they pulled it with a rope. But the lesson stuck with him. Simple ideas often win. That moment, small as it was, shaped the way he would approach engineering forever. By 1999, Edd had taken things a step further. He started a company with a ridiculous name, Comfy Banana Limited. But behind the name was a sharp idea. Build wild vehicles disguised as furniture. These weren't gimmicks. They were road-legal, fully insured machines. His sofa car, bathtub bike, and even a motorized bathroom could all be rented for around $3,000 per event. Advertising agencies and corporate events were thrilled to pay for them. He didn't stop at sofas. He created shopping trolleys, beds, and even a complete bathroom set on wheels. One of his most outrageous builds, the Bog Standard, could carry passengers in its sidecar bathtub at 68 km/h. What looked like comedy was actually clever marketing and serious engineering. By 2009, he had added another business called Grease Junkie. It was both a garage and a merchandise store tied to wheeler dealers. With every new venture, he built more income streams from his mechanical know-how. He wasn't just a TV guy anymore. He was running a small empire. But long before that, Edd knew the value of getting noticed. In 1998, he appeared at Top Gear Live at Silverstone, driving his famous motorized sofa, the Casual Lofa. That same year, Jeremy Clarkson featured him in a video that raced the sofa against real cars. It was madness, but it worked. Suddenly, everyone in the automotive world knew who Edd China was. He kept the momentum going with regular spots on The Big Breakfast, showing off new inventions like the bathroom car and the driving bed. In 2000, he joined Scrap Heap Challenge, and by 2002, he was the regular designer on Panic Mechanic. Each show built his reputation further. So when Wheeler Dealers launched in 2003, Edd already had fans and credibility. Then came the Guinness World Records. In October 1998, Edd hit 140 km/h in a furniture vehicle, smashing his first record. But he didn't stop. In 2005, he built the largest motorized shopping trolley in the world, almost 3 meters tall. In 2011, his Bog Standard set the world record for fastest bathroom vehicle, hitting 68 km/h in Milan. But perhaps the most meaningful record came in 2020. Edd built the fastest electric ice cream van, clocking 118,964 km/h. It wasn't just for fun. London was banning diesel vans for environmental reasons, and Edd saw an opportunity. He created an electric conversion kit to keep these iconic vehicles alive and legal. It was a record with a purpose. All of this, every invention, every TV appearance, every record, was part of a larger plan. He turned a student project into a full business model. Companies hired his vehicles for $3,000 or more. TV brought exposure. YouTube brought more fans. Merchandise, consulting, records, it all added up. In 2003, Discovery Channel did something bold. They didn't just want another car show, they wanted to change the way people saw car restoration on TV. So they carefully picked two very different personalities. Edd China, a calm, tall, genius mechanic who could explain complex repairs in simple steps, and Mike Brewer, a fast-talking car dealer who knew how to buy low and sell high. Together, they launched Wheeler Dealers. It wasn't about fast cars or flashy stunts. It was about finding old, beat-up vehicles, fixing them up with real know-how, and making a profit. Edd wasn't just a mechanic. He was a teacher in overalls. Mike brought energy and deals, and the combination worked better than anyone imagined. But right from the start, there was tension. Mike focused on the business side, getting deals done, turning cars around fast. Edd, though, was all about the details. He wanted to teach. He wanted viewers to understand every bolt, wire, and tool. On screen, they laughed and joked. Off-screen, their visions slowly drifted apart. Mike even called Edd his best friend and made him godfather to his child. But being close friends didn't stop them from growing frustrated. Mike leaned into the entertainment side. Edd kept fighting for more workshop time, and that quiet conflict over the show's purpose never really went away. What Edd may not have realized at first was that the format quietly made him the real star. Every episode followed a simple formula: buy, restore, sell. But viewers didn't tune in to see a good deal. They watched to see Edd. His calm voice, his 6'7" frame, and his passion for detail made the workshop segments unforgettable. He didn't just fix cars, he explained them. And people loved that. Even as the show's popularity soared, Edd stayed humble, almost unaware of how essential he had become. That quiet modesty would later clash with a network that didn't seem to understand why the show worked in the first place. Wheeler Dealers exploded far beyond the UK. It aired in 220 territories and reached more than 200 million viewers. It became Discovery Channel's global hit. Spin-offs followed: Trading Up, Dream Car, and even Wheeler Dealers France. Edd and Mike became known everywhere, from Europe to Asia to South America. But with that global success came pressure. The network saw money. They wanted faster turnarounds, less complexity, and more entertainment. Merchandise started selling under Edd's Grease Junkie brand. The show stopped being just about passion and started becoming a product. And slowly, the pressure to simplify, to shrink Edd's workshop time, began to mount. At the beginning, production was simple. A tiny team, just 5 people including Edd and Mike, worked in modest workshops. But by 2012, everything changed. They moved to the US, set up a new base in California, and brought in a bigger crew. Their workshop relocated to 53082 Research Drive in Huntington Beach. More lights, more cameras, more costs, and more interference. The show went from small and personal to big and industrial. American TV standards demanded shorter, faster content, and Edd's slow, careful explanations were suddenly seen as too much. The very thing that made the show special was being pushed out. Still, Edd kept going. Over 13 seasons, he restored 135 cars. Each one was a hands-on masterclass. From old Volvos to rusty MGs, he tackled them all with care and precision. Some episodes cost tens of thousands of pounds in parts alone. Some needed rare tools and components shipped from across Europe. But he always found a way to make things work. Viewers didn't just learn, they were inspired. Yet the pace was brutal. Teaching every fix while filming for TV isn't easy. And as the demands increased, Edd's patience wore thin. The workload grew. The creative freedom shrank. And in 2017, he walked away. The workshop segments were his pride. To the network, they were expensive and time-consuming. Each one needed perfect lighting, multiple cameras, and hours of setup. But to Edd, those segments were the show. That's where the value was. People wrote to him saying they learned how to fix their own cars because of him. Fans lined up to thank him in person. He believed those segments mattered more than any flashy reveal. But the network wanted cuts. They wanted to trim it down to before and after shots, not the messy work in between. For Edd, that was the final straw. The show was no longer what it had started as, and he refused to compromise. While all of this was happening on screen, behind the scenes, something else was falling apart. Edd had launched his own garage, Grease Junkie, in Bracknell. It looked like a dream come true, a real-world version of the show's magic. But by 2016, the business went under. The garage was liquidated. Edd, for all his genius, struggled with the business side. And that collapse meant the show lost its reliable workshop base. The production had to shift again. It was another blow to the educational heart of wheeler dealers. Viewers saw him building and fixing, but behind the curtain, his real garage was shutting down. Despite all that, Edd's passion never stopped. Away from the show, he chased wild inventions and world records. He built the fastest motorized office desk, 140 km/h across Westminster Bridge. He built a working toilet that hit 68 km/h, a massive shopping trolley that stood over 3 meters tall, and even an electric ice cream van that broke 118 km/h. That van wasn't just a stunt. It was his answer to London banning old diesel ice cream vans for polluting the air. Edd wanted to prove you could go green and still go fast. His record-breaking wasn't just fun. It was innovation with a purpose. Amid all the chaos, one part of Edd's life stayed grounded. His marriage to Imogen, a brilliant businesswoman from Norway. She earned a master's in business and economics from one of Europe's top schools. She held director roles in multiple companies, including Grease Junkie and media firms. They met at a restaurant, fell in love, and had a private wedding in London. Despite all the public attention, they kept their relationship low-key. No public drama, no spotlight seeking, just quiet loyalty. There's no sign they ever had children, possibly by choice. But Imogen wasn't just in the background. She was a major force, managing PR, building brands, and helping Edd behind the scenes. Mike Brewer and Edd China turned wheeler dealers into a global hit, but behind the scenes, the tension was growing like rust under fresh paint. Brewer wanted action, laughs, and drama, the kind of stuff that kept people glued to the screen. China wanted depth. He believed the heart of the show was in the nuts and bolts. When production moved to California in 2015, the pressure grew. The network wanted less grease and more glamour. China refused. He believed his workshop time was sacred. To him, it wasn't just a car show, it was a classroom. But Velocity executives didn't agree. They told him flat out, his workshop segments were too difficult to make. That cut deep. Brewer, meanwhile, wasn't hiding his frustration. By the later seasons, he believed China had let fame change him. He became a TV star, not a mechanic, Brewer said. He claimed Edd began choosing which jobs he'd do and which he'd skip. Some insiders said China, at 6'7", became more image-conscious and less eager to crawl under cars. Brewer saw it as ego. He said China did very bad things and was not gracious. Eventually, the network gave Edd a choice: stay and follow the new format, or walk. Off-camera, things were getting ugly. China was battling the producers over control. They wanted tighter episodes with faster edits. He wanted to show every step of every repair. The producers didn't want it. His scenes took too long to shoot. Too many camera angles. Too much money. Some workshop segments took 12 hours to film. That kind of detail just didn't fit the new plan. China refused to budge. He believed skipping steps meant lying to the audience. The money was the final nail. California wasn't cheap. Union labor, equipment rentals, studio time, it all added up. The producers calculated that cutting down China's scenes would save serious cash. A few less hours in the workshop meant thousands saved. To the network, it was a smart business move. To China, it was betrayal, and people started to notice. Crew members said China's perfectionism slowed everything down. Some scenes took 3 full reshoots just to meet his standards. One YouTuber said a simple collab with him turned into a nightmare of delays and demands. Even China's own fans were growing frustrated. By 2022, his independent Patreon supporters started complaining. Promised videos never showed up. Technical diagrams weren't delivered. Then one day, his whole Patreon and PayPal setup vanished. No explanation. Back in 2016, Discovery had already laid the groundwork. They took the show from Attaboy TV in the UK and handed it to Velocity in the US. It was a full reboot. Out with the cozy British garage. In with a glossy, fast-paced American format. They didn't want a craftsman's corner. They wanted a content machine. China's world was disappearing piece by piece. Then came the moment that broke him. Velocity said the entire show was too difficult to make in its original form. His workshop scenes were labeled as the problem. They required the most time, the most lights, and the most money. The solution? Cut them down, or cut them out. China later admitted it felt like they were tearing up his life's work. He didn't recognize what the show had become. After he left, the numbers told the story. An independent analysis compared old episodes to the new ones. During China's time, workshop segments averaged 20 minutes and 31 seconds. After he left, that dropped to just 15 minutes and 30 seconds. Some episodes barely had 11 minutes of technical content. That's nearly a 50% reduction. The workshop, the very soul of the show, was being gutted in plain sight. It wasn't just about screen time. It was about respect. Velocity wanted to simplify the show. They wanted less depth, more flash. China called it what it was, dumbing down. The network believed viewers didn't care about the fine details. China believed they did. He said trimming down his process meant turning him into something smoother, faster, easier to digest. But that wasn't him. That wasn't why he got into this. On March 21, 2017, Edd China sat in front of a camera, wearing his usual overalls, and quietly dropped a bomb that would shake the automotive TV world. Without warning the Discovery Channel or even his longtime co-host Mike Brewer, he announced he was leaving Wheeler Dealers after 13 years. No press release, no network-approved statement, just a plain YouTube video. But the moment it went live, it spread like wildfire. Within hours, social media and car forums lit up with shock. Edd explained calmly that the show's new direction, cutting down the workshop segments, was something he couldn't support. He said it would compromise the quality of his work and betray what the show stood for. Fans weren't just surprised, they were stunned. There had been no signs of trouble. And now, one of the most popular mechanics on TV was walking away from a show that reached over 200 million viewers globally. What shocked fans even more was what Edd said next. He revealed that the network, Velocity, wanted to shorten the detailed repair scenes because they were too expensive and took too much time. They wanted quicker edits, faster reveals, and more entertainment, less education. Edd saw that as a betrayal of what Wheeler Dealers was built on. He said it would erode not just the show's integrity, but his own. To millions watching, it wasn't just a guy quitting his job. It was a man standing up against corporate greed. And it struck a nerve. Edd wasn't just stepping down. He was exposing how networks were killing what made these shows special. And the internet responded with fury. That fury turned ugly fast. Within hours of Edd's video, fans flooded social media with hate. But instead of aiming it at the network, they turned on Mike Brewer. He hadn't said anything. He didn't even know Edd was quitting. But that didn't matter. People blamed him. They thought he'd pushed Edd out. Forums were filled with attacks. His comments section turned toxic. And this wasn't just name-calling. People were organizing harassment campaigns. They spread rumors. They posted threats. Some even tracked down Brewer's personal accounts and flooded them with violent messages. It got out of control faster than anyone could stop it. Just 6 days later, it hit a terrifying point. Mike Brewer revealed that he, his wife, and his daughter were receiving death threats. Not vague ones, specific, graphic threats. He said people claimed they were outside his house. Some threatened to assault his wife. Others said they'd kill his child. He called the police. He started avoiding public places. In one chilling moment, a group of men in a restaurant started yelling abuse at him while he was eating. Mike admitted he wasn't coping. He drank more. His mood changed. He was scared for his family. What started as a TV shakeup had become a real-life nightmare. Edd China, realizing how bad things had gotten, did something rare in showbiz. He posted another video, this time not to defend himself, but to defend Mike. He admitted that he and Mike weren't exactly on friendly terms, but he said the hate had to stop. He told fans that no one deserved what Mike and his family were going through. He reminded everyone that whatever happened behind the scenes, it wasn't worth hurting innocent people. His video calmed things a little, but the damage was already done. Their friendship was fractured, their reputations were bruised, and the fallout kept spreading. When Aunt Anstead replaced Edd China in 2017, the show was never the same. The numbers told the story. During Edd's time, each episode had 19 to 25 minutes of workshop content. Aunt's episodes averaged just 15 minutes. Some had as little as 11 minutes of actual repair time. Edd had warned this would happen. And it did. Fans noticed. They complained. Aunt did his best, but the format no longer matched the promise. After just 3 seasons, he left. The next replacement, Mark Elvis Priestley, had Formula One experience, but even he couldn't fix what was now a show built for speed, not substance. Meanwhile, Edd China didn't disappear. He went back to YouTube and in April 2021 launched Edd China's Workshop Diaries. It was everything fans missed. Long, detailed repairs, no commercials, and pure passion. Each episode went deep, sometimes spending 30 or 40 minutes on a single repair. No rush, no shortcuts, just solid, technical content. His first major hit was a Golf GTI restoration in Norway. It racked up millions of views. By 2025, his channel had over 1 million subscribers and was earning up to $1,800 a year just from ads. It wasn't TV money, but it was honest, and it proved that fans still craved depth. But the cost of that honesty was high. Edd's estimated net worth was between $100,000 and $250,000. He wasn't rich. Wheeler dealers had given him global fame. Staying could have earned him $500,000 a year or more through deals, merch, and licensing. Instead, he walked away. He built his own companies, Comfy Banana and Grease Junkie, with his own money. No safety net, no guarantees. Most TV stars wouldn't take that risk, but Edd did, because for him, doing it right mattered more than doing it rich. Then came 2025. In January, Edd posted a video announcing a new project. He'd bought the cheapest Ferrari in Europe, a 308 GT4. The claim blew up instantly. Viewers loved the idea, but car forums weren't buying it. Experts started asking questions. His pricing didn't add up. No receipts, no proof. Others found Ferraris on the market that were cheaper. The backlash was sharp. The video got millions of views, but also a flood of negative comments. People said Edd was chasing clicks, not facts. And for the first time, fans began to question whether he was still the same Edd China they admired. Then it got worse. A 37-second video leaked from behind the scenes. It showed Edd in a heated argument with a cameraman. The fight was about reshooting a wheel removal scene. Edd said it wasn't done right. The cameraman pushed back. Lighting was bad. They were running out of time. But Edd wouldn't back down. The clip went viral, 800,000 views in 2 days. And suddenly, people saw another side of him. Not the calm, friendly mechanic, but someone demanding, controlling, maybe even difficult. Fans were confused. Some defended him. Others said the rumors about his perfectionism were finally confirmed. Edd said nothing. No apology. No explanation. And then came the biggest letdown. That same year, Edd's long-running YouTube series, Workshop Diaries, went quiet. No new videos. The homepage was set to maintenance mode. Fans checked social media. Only vague updates, mostly about the Ferrari. No sponsors were mentioned. No new projects announced. The most loyal fans felt abandoned. This was the series that was supposed to be his comeback, his redemption. And now, it looked like even that had been left behind. One final blow came from an unlikely place: academia. Edd had planned a high-profile project with the University of Birmingham's engineering department. It sounded perfect. Edd's technical brain working with top students. But the project collapsed. The university said no agreement could be reached. Students on forums claimed Edd had made unrealistic demands and refused to follow academic schedules. He wanted it done his way. The university couldn't work with him. The whole collaboration was suspended. And for the first time, it looked like Edd China's legendary standards were pushing people away, not pulling them in.